We are recording. Good morning, everybody. All right, we're not getting started as quickly as we were hoping to do. The 2 minutes earlier it didn't work, but maybe next week. We're really going to get this today. Starting on time. Okay. Everybody find a seat if you please. Or stand, it's fine. Okay, stand, thanks. Okay, let's get this started. Yes. So good morning, everybody. This is really such an exciting celebration for many of us. I think it's going to be. What I kind of wanted to bring in is just this idea that we are still celebrating, and we are celebrating 250 years, even though we may not be labeled as celebrating it. We are celebrating it because we love this country, and we are going to work to help ourselves be much more communicative, working together, and keeping all of ourselves alive here. Okay, so with that in mind, I wanted to kind of pull in Ray Charles' version, America the Beautiful, and then first he ends with it. And we do have lyrics there, and this is just a great version. Pardon me?
They're on the screen.
Yes, yes.
They're not on the
It's
TV.
easier when they're on screen percent. So, all right. I know we're slow and cool, but it's hot and we're moving really fast. And that beat was just so perfect. To sink it in, to really let it all sink in. Okay.
Susan, a little loud.
It is flat back and forth. Yeah. Well, we flipped from YouTube to a mic, and then mic to mic, as we know. Mics are funny, like that. Anyway, I've done a lot of mics in my life. Anyway, announcements. Anybody have announcements for Larry? Work for him. Can you see if that mic works?
Here I am again, announcing that we're looking for nominations for our annual Peace Award. So you can see me or anybody on council. And tell us if you have any nominations.
And one other announcement too, we would love if somebody else wanted to learn how to do the Zoom operation, if anybody is inclined, likes things like electronic malfunctions and things like that, and how to solve problem-solving stuff. You learn so many things by doing Zoom here. But the fun thing is that we are having Zoom for anybody who is either sick or far away, or forgot it was Sunday. And oh my God, I can at least get on to Zoom.
Watch the record.
Pardon me?
Watch the record.
And we record it. So not only is Zoom really cool for somebody being able to see it from another place, from their own, the comfort of their home, we get to record that. So that means that people who were busy then all day today or sick or whatever, they can watch it. We have a replay, and we're refining. We're still working on making it a really nice, smooth work. So that's why anybody who should happen to want to learn it and or has that expertise, we are open to it. And that goes for anybody listening to it on replay. So if you're on replay or listening to the replay, talk to your friends. It's not you. So thank you for that. And who else has announcements? Is Nancy?
Do you want to make yours?
Sure.
First of all, welcome back, Diana. We're sending around the coffee, tea, set up, clean up for July and August, or most of August. So we have none signed up, but somebody make it today? No? Yeah, yeah, see it. Good. Who do we have to thank? Ken, thank you.
You did a great job. Thanks.
You know what the clipboard with cards means. So, one is for Norm. I know we did one for Norm already, but he is in rehab now. So this is for like next week, so I won't be here next week, so I'll send it to him. And the other one is for Bill Metler's wife Bonnie, who is going to be having her hip replaced. I'm not sure when. The 7th, tomorrow. So there's one for Bonnie. There's one for Bonnie and there's one for Norm. If it's still going around when it's time for our lovely speaker to speak, if you could just hold it on your lap, and then we'll continue that afterwards. And what about coffee? Oh,
Same for the other group.
oh, right, and the coffee clipboard is going around too. And that was just a wonderful program on Friday night if you happen to be lucky enough to come here. If not, watch it on Zoom.
All right. Garrett.
Just wanted to acknowledge David Troy, who did a wonderful job with giving America 2 countries. David really birthed it into fruition, and I was honored to be able to help and support her. And the cast of visionaries who showed up, we had 50 or 55 people were here Friday night in a large crowd, wonderful turnout. There is a recording. You can go to the Vision of America 250 Facebook page, which David created. There's a YouTube video of the event, so I converted the Zoom to YouTube, which can be there forever. It's one of the nice things about YouTube. So you can check it out, and I believe David's going to have a monthly gathering, right?
Second Sunday.
Second Sunday of the
Sunday
month,
at 7,
7 p.m.
for those who want to come on to keep their visions alive.
Yeah, so we all did visions, we all put our visions into the time capsule to create what we want to continue to create as the next 250 years. Let's start with tomorrow. Let's start with today.
Yes.
So it was a great event, and thank you for those who showed up.
Someone else have an announcement? Going once, going twice, and they haven't really been very long, really. It's been a good day here. Okay, I thought I had one, but I'll get to it later on. So, are there any new visitors? And if you would find, if you don't feel too bashful, if you're just gonna say your name, where you're from.
My name's Nadine Atkins, I live in Springfield, Delaware County.
Nadine, welcome. You're so glad to be here.
You got a couple kids.
Yes. Those kids?
Kissing puppies.
Hi, this is Aurora.
Aurora.
Vicky.
Hi, Aurora.
Robin.
Linnea. Welcome. We're so glad you're here too. Yes, of course. I think so too. She said something. Okay. Any birthdays besides America? We already sang. Birthdays?
We already did it back here.
Birthdays.
Gloria's birthday.
Yesterday was Gloria's birthday. Huh? Okay. Any others learned in July? Besides Tom Cruise's character? Born on the 4th of July? And Nancy?
It's been 33 years on the 2nd of July when my ex-husband died in the highlights.
Okay, but that's not his birthday. That's
I didn't know they were going to announce deaths too.
Yeah.
That's the healing prayer.
Yeah. We're gonna switch it all around, but I figure we could sing a birthday, but
My daughter, we
your daughter on the 8th. All right, that's a bunch of good birthdays, and we can sing to them. Happy birthday, we love you. Happy birthday, and may all your dreams come true. When you blow out the candles, one light stays aglow. It's the love light in your eyes wherever you go. This is that nice. You know, you don't even think of that. The love light in your eyes that just wherever you go. It's just like, it's there. We can see it, and I can see it in every one of you. Because you know what? Within this past year, you all have had a birthday. So that love light is still shining. And it will still shine and keep on shining, whether we sing or not.
I skipped my birthday.
Well, you don't have to, but I think so, you can too. Perfect. Right there next. Okay. And I even have it on the program in case the leaves are in the way, so we can read our credo. We live a life by love transformed,
by spirit empowered, by creative imagination guided, in peace with all.
We are transformed every single time we come here. I am. And sometimes I would skip a day or two here and there. Or again, but there is a transformation that takes place. Because there is a certain love. It doesn't, and I know people really love us, and sometimes it's too hot for that, or sometimes I'm not in the mood. But it's just being next to you, looking in your eyes, and seeing that love. Because it is there. I can really, really feel it. My spirit empowered. I think that's every day, every minute of every day. And it helps to make every single minute sacred. And spirit empowered, every single minute, every single day. By creative imagination, we are guided. So, we probably don't live the same way every single day. And we are creative in how we deal with things. And we are really working on, because of the way things are in this country right now, we are working creatively to talk to different people in different ways, to observe and say, namaste to you. I'm sorry that you're in that space. I'm sorry that you are feeling that hatred. I don't feel it toward you. I'm gonna only, the worst I'll do is when you rush past me and almost hit me, or the time you knocked my rear view mirror off of my car. I just wanted to say, the worst I want to say is, I hope your hubcaps fall off. And I try not to say that, because the hubcaps could get in somebody else's way. So I try to modify that. But I hope they fall off once you get into your driveway and you can't plunk them back on. So that way it's safe for other people. That time, that was me going to work. And this person came out of nowhere, what seemed nowhere. So fast. I have never just driving so fast. And of course, obviously, we're that close to me. And they knocked the rear view mirror off. So, little learned way to start your day. Have a rear view mirror. Oh, isn't that interesting? But we're talking about a rear view mirror today. Talking about it, thinking about it, and using it. And Doreen is going to really present that in a way that I think is going to start us talking for a really long time, if not forever. Because Sankofa is immeasurably interesting and uplifting and enlivening, I think, for us. So I'm not going to tell you what she's going to say, because she's going to say. So I've just also then, excuse me, sit down. Healing prayers. But before we do the healing prayer, I heard a little voice in my ear said, light that peace candle. I don't know where it came from. It was out of the ether. It was really wild like that. You know, that happens here, though. So I wonder if anybody really, since that was just so cosmic, somebody wants to light that peace candle. Go, Ken.
Well, just today, I don't know if people realize this, but many states are celebrating this as Martyrs' Day, to celebrate those unremembered heroes who fought for peace in this country, who fought for the ideals that made America, as opposed to our failures. And in that, I would like to light the peace candle in remembrance of the four who died and Kent State trying to end the Vietnam War.
Thank you. Well, and that's a perfect lead into the healing prayers, the ideas of a healing prayer, of us to join in, because people are saying healing prayers all over the place, in every country, in every church, surely. Walking down the streets, we're thinking about someone who needs healing and would like to help them. And we all know that. We all do it. It's just somebody that we feel bad for, or we would like to help them, we just don't know how. It might be mental, it might be physical, it might be emotional. Any little way that we can help them to say a little prayer. I say a little prayer for you. I say every day as I run to the bus stop, while I'm riding, I think of us too. I say a little prayer for you. I say a little prayer every day for our healing, for our life. May our prayers blend in with all the prayers and the songs and the visualizations that are happening throughout the country, all across this nation, this planet, earth beings, every possibility. All those up in the spacecraft, you know they pray. We know they pray. And they wish us good. So one of the things that I wanted to bring in, Barbara Atkinson sent me a wonderful song that we could use today. It is called Lift Every Voice and Sing. And it's a fabulous song. And if you'll recognize the music, and there are lyrics on the screen. And at the same time, I'm going to send around the baskets. Because it really is all interconnected. So we are going to sing this song and learn it, because I believe the more we sing it, the more we will incorporate that into our lives. Because everybody needs to lift up their voices and sing.
This is known as the Negro National Anthem.
It is known as the Negro National Anthem, and
Black.
Black.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing
Next time we just stand.
Yeah.
You just thought people would stand with you.
I should do it again. I should.
Anytime you want to, you know you are a Pebble.
Well, something, standing.
You can even dance, you know. Well, yeah. And as we're getting to know it, each time, it gets a little bit more, we get the words a little bit more. It's a lot of words, but they are also great. And getting the cadence of the so that's just taking a while. Larry?
I would just say that I think that as a tribute and memorial to the Black journey in this country, rather than the words pertaining to my journey. And I honor that song. I didn't even know it existed until about 4 years ago. And it is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. But I honor it, as a tribute. So,
Right, that's good, because I would like us to sing it more often. And next time, even if we have fun, if Dana's here, she's gonna stand up, and you're probably gonna stand up with her. And we might even move our bodies, because it is power. Each time we get better. So. Thank you all. Thanks to all of Spirit for bringing all of these green pieces of paper here so the Pebble can grow and we can continue to spread this word of love and peace and joy and sacred of every minute, sacredness of every minute and of every place. It's a sacred place, it's a peace site. We're going to create peace, little lightning bits as we walk all the way around and go home. Every single time, we're lighting those peace lights. I like that. So I'm excited to bring Doreen up here. She is truly one of the most interesting people. And you know what? I don't want to take up any more of her time, because you can talk for as long as you want. We love you. And you're going to just enjoy Doreen. Doreen Stratton, the first time here at Pebble Hill.
hear me?
Really supposed to say morning. Someone told me a few weeks ago, you don't say good morning. It has something to do with the fact of the enslaved being able to go to church or not going to church, and the next day the overseers and the master coming out and saying good morning. And this person said to me, you're only supposed to say morning. So now I'm doing that since I heard that story. I hear them, these weird and odd things all the time. You pick them up and pass them on. Like picnic. You don't know about picnic? No. Kevin does. Tell him about picnic, Kevin. Lesson.
Every time I encounter Doreen, she manages to find a way to put me on the spot. So this is not 100% founded, but it is, well,
Good story.
well, what I tend to digest new information and look up the history of that information. Whenever I find that there's a debate, I kind of give the benefit of the doubt to any, unless it's completely, ridiculous, to any dissenting ideas, especially when it comes to this topic, because there is such an effort, concentrated effort to erase that. So I'm going to speak this and give it credence here now because I've been asked to, but I implore you to do your own research on the topic and see what you come up with, and maybe you can then come back and correct me if I'm wrong. But the word picnic allegedly has a history of being associated with public lynchings. Yes, because as some of you might know, and some of you might not know, lynchings were often celebrated publicly, and even, not to get really morbid here, but like used, people would gather and take pictures with the hanging corpse and use those pictures to send postcards to their friends and family. I'll stop there. But the word used to be pick up, right? And that allegedly was used to, even when there wasn't any wrongdoing from the black community, even when there wasn't any allegations of any wrongdoing, they would say, let's just go to that side of town and pick somebody to, and then often they would make up a reason after the fact. So, we don't say that word in our community.
Barbecue.
What's that?
Barbecue.
It's
Gathering.
Right.
And there it is. So I'll leave that information. I'll just lay it at your feet, and you can read it what you want.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Morning. I'm going to give you a brief little sermon about the word Sankofa. Now, I learned that word several years ago when I was part of an African American organization in Philadelphia. And after learning the word and going on the internet, which you all may do, and you will see, I had made some copies of the hen. And when you go on the internet, there are dozens of images that people have created of the hen. And the purpose of the Sankofa image is to reach back, taking the hen, which as you know is the beginning of time, and bringing it forward, because you must know your past before you can go into the present and the future. And I have placed my little words today surrounding that word, Sankofa. We must know where we began in order to understand where we are. I was a colored girl living in Doylestown, it was, to some extent, still a community with few Black residents. We knew we were different, and what did we get from our parents as advice? Always behave. I remember once, in 5th grade, I wanted to crawl under my desk when Africa, I keep, can I take this off?
Yes. Is it, hold it.
There we go. When Africa was the day's subject. In the geography book, now as you may know, back then and still then, the geography books that are coming into our schools in recent years, they have really been messing with them. Well, even back in the day, and you're looking at somebody, you can see with my hair, this was in the 1950s. And in this geography book, the page's narrative included an illustration of an African child crouched in a hole. Only his head was above the shelter. So he was in this hole and he was hiding because in the distance, a fire was coming across the African plain and he was in danger. It came, approached the child, and continued on because as the fire crossed over him, it singed his hair. And in this book, it's really confused me because the text concluded, and this is true, my sisters remember it. I have 2 other sisters. And that is why Africans have curly hair.
Oh my God.
Yep. I always believed my family's history began with my grandfather, Joseph B. Stratton. Whenever the family speaks of him, we call him JB. It was always, since my childhood, that my legacy began with him. That's where I thought life began, with my grandfather, on my father's side. The only photo that we have of him is from maybe his, just below his face, and he had a mutton that crossed his lip that he looked so distinguished. And I often wondered, what did he do? Because I didn't know anything about him. And he died in 1900. In fact, he died 4 months after my daddy was born in 1900. So that's what I thought my life was. That's where I came from. That was my little circle. Abe was still back there. In the early 1960s, the civil rights movement failed to touch my life. It was distant. I walked among a white community, going home to a colored family. What was I? Was I colored? Was I white? Years later, in 1999, I joined an African American organization. It was called Team Summit 1000. It was out of Philadelphia, and its mission was to uplift boys and girls from the ages of 14 through 18 about their history and culture. And I signed up. I thought it was fascinating. See, at that time, I was just getting a little curious about being a Black person. So as an adult, I said, yeah, I'd like to sign up, and we were trained because they needed adults to, you could have been assigned one of the children and be available for their questions when we had the opportunity to go on to field trips, you were responsible for that child, there to help them with anything. So unfortunately, I was never given a child to be responsible for. They had enough adults that was taken care of, but the most wonderful thing happened. They knew that I liked to take pictures, so the first year I was in the program. It's a 2-year program, and after the second year, if you meet all the obligations, you have to raise money, you have to read certain books, and you have to be available to go on all of the sojourns. Our first one was a walkabout in Philadelphia, which I thought was fascinating because I had family in Philadelphia, but I had never been aware of everything that, some of the sites connected with Black people, the history. So that was fascinating. Our second trip is a bus drive. We went up to New York, to Harlem, and I have to say, our people, we put things together, and sometimes it doesn't always work the way you want to. And we were supposed to, one of the places on the tour was to stop at that place in New York City where they had discovered all of these carcasses that were cadavers that were, Black people that had been buried, hundreds of years ago. We never got to see that, but that was our second little sojourn. The next one was because a lot of these children, some of them that were in the program, a lot of them were from Philadelphia, and a lot of them never had an opportunity maybe even to get out of the city. So our next sojourn was to Virginia. We went to Virginia to a plantation, and that was fascinating to me because I had been to Virginia but never had the opportunity to go to a plantation. They had a couple reenactors. There was a woman who was dressed in the garb of the 19th century, and that was interesting too. That was an overnighter. They're getting used to an overnighter. Then our next sojourn, and because a lot of children had never been on an airplane, we went to Michigan, and we went to the African American Museum there, which was fascinating. I'm sure, all of these African American museums, they're just right on. And we were able to go up to Hit City, where Motown, and that was a trip too, because we got to go down into their tiny little studio, which was about 1/4 the size of this, where all that great music came from. And that was another overnighter. And we got on a bus, we went across the border into Canada. And, you had heard these stories. Well, Canada, a lot of the Blacks, the enslaved, the fugitives, they crossed into Canada. So we get on this bus, and I figured we're going to cross the water and get out. Are we there yet? We went another hour inland. And I said, why are we going so deep into Canada? They said, well, what was happening is that the slave catchers had an agreement. They were able to cross from Michigan into Canada, and they would snatch the enslaved who were just right across the border. So they went way deep inside to a place called Buxton, Canada. And that was fascinating. We got to see where Josiah Henson, because he settled there, if you're familiar with him, he was enslaved. He had kind of a really good arrangement with his master. And he finally said, I've had enough of this, tried to raise money to get his family to freedom, and the master said no. So Josiah went south, he went into Canada, but he came back and he got his whole family. So when you go up there, you can see where he lived, and that was really fascinating. So that was the overnighter, and then the biggie was Ghana, going to Ghana, and I was thrilled because I wasn't scheduled to go till the next year to Egypt. So I was, oh my God, I'm going to Africa! Is that too loud? Well, when we arrived in Ghana, I stepped off the jet onto the airport's tarmac. You get off that plane and you're right there. And there's something about the smell, the odor of every country. I mean, you go into Philly and there's an odor, Philadelphia odor. But Africa, and I got the same thing when I went to Kenya. It just overwhelms you. And I turned around, I was so excited, and I turned around and I saw one of the men who got off the bus before me. He was down on his hands and knees and he kissed the ground. Oh, I wish I thought to do that. But it was a fragrance that is old as her civilization. And that is when I first realized this was my motherland. Everywhere I looked, everywhere I walked, there were black and brown people. We toured a 14th century fort built by the Portuguese explorers. Many adults, including me, saw the rooms where the Africans were kept. The tour concluded when the docent led us through the fort's underground passage, and the docent paused at this door. It was a regular-sized door, and then he unlocked it, and he turned to us and said, "This is the door of no return." You looked out, and there was this beautiful beach, and everywhere else you looked was the Atlantic Ocean, to realize that our ancestors came through that door, down onto that beach where they were counted and numbered and ferried on some rowboat out to a big ship that took them either to America, to Great Britain, but Great Britain was the first place that just knocked off no more slavery. Were places around the world, down in Brazil, where they say there are more black people than anywhere else outside of Africa, down in Brazil. But of course, I believe that my ancestors came to America. And you go, that whole tour was such that you couldn't help but weep, because you were getting all of this information, the odors, some of these rooms that we went in, they were huge. And you walked around and you knew you were walking on places where ancestors centuries ago had walked. One of the rooms that we went into, and we went to 2 forts, and the second fort, we went into this room, it was Elmina. That was the name of they called them castles, but they really were forts. And they were massive, bigger than our U.S. Capitol building complex. They were huge. And when we went into Elmina, they had this room. Elmina had 4 stories in certain parts of the castle. And this was a large room, maybe about half the size of a basketball court. And there were terrace and balconies going all the way up. And we got in the room, and the docent said, "This is where the governor of Elmina, when he wanted us, and one of the enslaved, he would have them come into because he could be looking down, and there was this area, and there was this massive lead ball, maybe about the size of, a little bit smaller than a soccer ball, and it was on a chain, and the chain was in the ground. And I have to tell you, he would have, if the enslaved woman was anyway unwilling to do the bidding of the governor, she was chained to this thing, and there was actually a dip into the stone from being ground around all those years by someone. And there was this room off to the side. And I said, well, let me get my camera, I don't want to go in here. So I went into this room, which was, now that was probably that was the size of a really good classroom. And I got in there, and I put my camera up, and I'm telling you, there was an aroma, there was an odor coming off that room, that it was like blood and women's waste and everything, and I just had to turn around and get out of there. It was the most realistic thing I had experienced while I was there. I'm glad I went. I would love to go back and to realize that Africa has all these other countries. And initially I thought, well, I think I'm from Ghana because the DNA said that. But as the years went by, and if you've all done DNA, you know, every now and then you go back in, and they found, oh my gosh, look at this, they found this. I got 1% European in me or something like that. But now, when I go in, I've got 4 different African countries: Benin, Ghana, Senegal, Togo, and I stopped to think, all these different nations are in my DNA. And when you do a lot of reading about this, you realize that the Africans became enslaved, they were moved around, they were sold, they were resold, and some of them were able to cohabitate and have children. And I looked at it and I said, I got 4 different nations in my DNA. And over the centuries, this is what happened, you know, because generations go by, somebody gets married, or somebody partners or couples, child is born, that child grows up, maybe they're sold. I just couldn't get over that. I said, 4 different African nations in my DNA. Unbelievable. All right, so let me get back to this. Got a little offhand. So we had the door of no return, and that was something. And a lot of people, when they got there, they were crying. A lot of the women, all through this, we would be weeping because you are there where someone that is in you or that flowing through you was there. And it was just extremely emotional. So I can only think that centuries ago, a man or a woman, possibly an ancestor from my 5th or 6th or 7th or 8th or 9th generation, survived the crossing, enslavement, and became free. And here I am now. So when this egg that I've now nestled in my hand, I'm now hungry enough that I want to find out more. I mean, we have found out a little bit more about my family. But growing up, I really considered the importance of asking my elders. Even now, I can recall when we would go into Philadelphia, my mother's, she had 4 sisters and a brother. And I said, you know, who are these people? And there's Aunt Betty, and there's Aunt Kitty, and Aunt Kitty, she was she was a riot. And Aunt Rose, she was all proper. And then Aunt Betty, she was the youngest. And then there was one brother, and Uncle Ralph. And I didn't know who these people were. And then there was always this other man there. And the sisters, my aunts, they called him Uncle Willie. And I said, who is that man? He was as white as you all. I said, who is Uncle Willie? And I didn't realize who he was until I was talking to my cousin, and she said, oh, that's Mom's brother. That's Mom's aunt, because that was my grandmother's brother. And I found out later that my great-grandmother had 2 children. She had my mother, she had Willie, and she had my grandmother, and they were the only 2. And my great-grandmother came to Pennsylvania. She brought those 2 with her. And she went back a couple times, but she stayed here with Willie and Marissa. That was my grandmother's name. And she was as white as you, and just as white as Willie. I don't know what my great-grandmother looked like, but she came out of a Caroline County, and we found out that after she died in Pennsylvania, in Philly, she wanted to be buried back in Virginia. And one weekend, me and my 2 nieces, we drove to Caroline County because we were trying to find her marker. We went to all the cemeteries, and the only thing that we can think of, she could have been there. When you go in the south to the black cemeteries, if there is one there, they are in horrible condition. Sometimes the graves are marked over, sometimes there's no marker at all. But we could never find my great-grandmother, Ellen. She's there somewhere, and ever since I went there, I want to go back down. I want to find her. But that is what happens. You've got all these previous generations, and now this egg is still, knocking on the back of my head. So I wish I had been more curious. That's all I can say. All these relatives I looked at and never asked any. And I know they all had interesting stories, because one of my cousins, she told me some of these people were really fascinating. So I did find out more about JB, and JB's his grandfather was Tobias Stratton. Love that name. Tobias was born free, and he was a free black in Philadelphia in 1767. And of course, that is where hundreds of free blacks lived. And I have this picture in my mind of Tobias when he was 9 years old and running the streets of Philadelphia. And I wonder, and I like to think, did he meet Benjamin Franklin? Did he see him? Did he see George Washington? And then I also wondered, was he kind of rustling around in the crowd when they gave that first reading of the Declaration of Independence? Because he was there. He was walking those streets. So we can only think until we learn more, because we did find a little bit more about Tobias, that his wife's name was Hannah, and she was from Haiti. So here we go. There's an awful lot of blacks that was one of the major places they dropped them off, and some stayed, and some got on a boat, and then they went somewhere else. But she was Haitian. So he and Hannah, they had 4 children, and we have since learned that Tobias and Hannah were members of the first African Methodist Episcopal Church that was founded by Absalom Jones, who was a clergyman and an abolitionist. And there, we just recently are getting more information that apparently there was quite a movement of free blacks at that time, because Richard Allen was also in that period. So we're hoping to, as we uncover more information, my two nieces are going to come up. One lives in Washington, D.C., the other in Maryland. They're going to come up one time and go to Philadelphia and start rummaging around in some of those archives to see what we can find out. So in 2013, that's when I presented my first lecture about the Underground Railroad. And it was something I put together with just a little bit of information that I knew. And from there, it has really kind of expanded into other areas. I have a Juneteenth one that I become an enslaved woman. I have a presentation about the Stratton and Nelson family. Both our families have been in Doylestown since the 1800s. Both of them, my grandfather and another relative and elder from that family lived in Reading for a while, the most, and they left. First, Levi Nelson left, and we found out that he left the same reason that my grandfather left, because they were trying to get an enslaved enslaved boy into a private boarding school. You had to go in front of the local government to get their permission. And my grandfather, J.B., was so vocal about it, the Molly McGuires, because also the Irish at that time, they were almost as bad off as us, as the blacks. And they were very upset that J.B. was going in front of the town council, because possibly they may have had an orphan, and this was a place for orphans of the war. Their fathers had served in the Civil War. So they approached JB and told him to get out. You get out of here, you don't get out of here, we're going to kill you. So at that time, Lily, his wife, she was safe, but JB left and he came to Doylestown. Eventually found the house where my sister and I still lived. And when he was settled, he wrote a letter to Lily, said, pack up the children. I think she had 2 or 3 at that time. I found a place in Doylestown. And so that's where we have been ever since then. So the first, and I also brought with me a list of books that I have read since I really got immersed in this. The first one that I read was Bound for Canaan by Fergus Bordewich. And he liked to write about history. I love that book because he took the whole period of when the first Africans came, and he followed the likes of one enslaved person all the way to freedom. So if you're going to read, you're going to hear everything from slavery to the Underground Railroad and little snippets, but it's really a good book. And from there, I just, whenever I can, I'm reading something. And I put some fiction in there if you just really like fiction, they're in there as well. So I'm going to send Susan the Word document, because you can see there's quite a few books on that list. And she'll be able to share it with the members. And this is my finale, to let you know that we carry history. All of us have history. And we should share it. And when you get my age, I know I have said told my children some great stories. Of course, they're grown now. And some of them they remember, because some of them are really cuckoo about me. So you really must tell them to your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, and your friends, because your nieces and nephews and your grands, they will tell their friends, because you gotta keep everything alive. I've read something somewhere that as long as you say someone's name that is gone, they're never gone. You know, you stop saying their name, they're gone and gone. The threats are real, and after yesterday, if anyone had seen that coverage of the cowards walking through our nation's capital with masks on their face, I mean, poo-poo on them. You know, the goddess does not like ugly, and something like that is going to turn around, and you know, the A is going to hit them in the head. So, if we don't share the stories, they disappear. They're trying to get rid of our stories now, but we're not going to let that happen. And I see a insurgent within the African American community that was kind of silent there for a while. But they're speaking up, the chorus is getting louder, and you're going to hear the voices. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have some good time for reflections and more questions. Does anybody have any questions for Doreen?
Thanks. I was going to tell you this privately afterwards, but I figured, given what you shared, it would be apropos to share it en masse. So, Memorial Day weekend, I went down to Baton Rouge to my family's reunion. My uncle gave a presentation on our history. He was able to go back to his great-grandmother. And I remembered as a child, he didn't mention an entire side of the family that I remember. My mom went to that reunion when I was 11 years old, and I remember she came back with t-shirts for me and my brother. And she said, this was our, you know, we're an offshoot of this family. The family was Dollison being a Dutch name, right? So, while I was there, I was rooting through my mom's closet to look for old photos. My mom is the keeper of the records in her family. She's one of 7, and she has all the photos, she has all the stuff, right? So, I'm finding all these great photos from me as a kid and my brother, and I find this booklet. And it says, Dollison Descendants Family Reunion 1986. And I'm looking through it and I'm seeing somebody did a lot of research. And this was after my uncle gave his presentation. And during his presentation, I said to him, well, what about the Dollisons? And he said, well, this is all the information I have. I don't, you know. And so, sure enough, I'm looking through this document and it has trees, it has all the offshoots. I was able to go back and find my great-great-great-grandmother, whose name is mentioned in there, and her parents were, don't know first name Dollison, a Dutchman, and unnamed African woman. She was sold into slavery, the child, at 9 years old. She was taken from this woman and sold from Arkansas down to New Orleans and sold in New Orleans, and that's as far as I got in my research before I had to put it down. But I wanted to share that with you just because I know you could, and this is huge for me. Like, it's one thing to know that in theory, yes, when you go back far enough in our history, eventually you come to a village tale. It's another thing to see it written and to be able to trace that, you know. So, one of my dreams is to visit the motherland like you have. I'm the only one in my immediate family of 4 who hasn't done that yet. My brother's been, both my parents have been. I haven't been yet, but I look forward to going, particularly to Senegal and to
Is that where most of your DNA is?
So my DNA points to Benin, Togo as well as several other countries. And that's just the African part, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
like when we go over there, you read Ta-Nehisi Coates' visit to the motherland, and he was saying, when we go over there and they see us, they consider us mixed. Which is interesting, right? So that's just the African part, and there's, I'm a product of 4 continents, right? So, and you probably are too.
Then you got English, there's 4, I'm half black and half white.
Sure.
You put all, you probably are too, the Europeans.
I don't know about half, but I'm a good mix. My grandmother's mother was a full-blood Cherokee.
Oh,
right.
wow.
So, and we have one photo of her, and she had long, straight hair that she could sit on. Right.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, like I said, I span 4 continents. And that's just what I know. Right. So, interesting stuff.
It
for certain.
is. It is, and you start digging deep.
Now I'm curious in your research, one, because you mentioned the connection with Berks County in terms of Reading, and the Underground Railroad, whether you ever encountered Pine Forge. Pine Forge is in Berks County, and it's a place I grew up in in 5th grade. That's the significance to me. But it was a station on the Underground Railroad, and there's I think it's Seventh-day Adventist, but don't hold me to the denomination, preparatory school there, which was all African American, at least when I was growing up. Which made it fascinating because in grade school, the parents of the black students were better educated because they were teachers at the preparatory school than the working class white children in the school. So just a fascinating part of the memory. So I gather you did encounter Pine Forge.
My grandfather and the companion, the Nelson side, they were all in Reading. Now, we did also find that on the Nelson side, one of the sons was one in that generation of Nelson's. He was a station master for the Underground Railroad in Reading, and we found a letter that he had. His name was Grayson Snowden Nelson. And he was a station master in Reading, and he was the same age as my grandfather because his sister married Grayson Snowden Nelson. So JB and Grayson, they communicated because JB was in the Union Navy in the Civil War. And the letter that we have that JB wrote, he says, I have some articles for Grayson. So they had a really good relationship, and they must have had such that, I don't know, we never knew how much of a connection they had with the Underground Railroad and how it's nobody, if they talked, it left with them. It never went any further. And of course, my father was only 4 months old when JB died. And he was the last of 8 children. He was the last. So the others were grown, some had left. One was a doctor, there was a dentist and a clergyman and a postmaster. So they were all grown, and Daddy, he was the last one, and he became the steward. He stayed in Doylestown. He worked from there, and he met my mother and got married and brought her to Doylestown. So I'm a Doylestown.
I wanted to tell how I met you, which was, Doreen was a speaker at our Martin Luther King program after Kevin was, I think, in Brewell. And at that time, you spoke a lot about Bucks County and the Philadelphia area, African-American history, and some about the white abolitionists, and talked about Black and Glenn with Quaker families, several families who had been abolitionists and so when we were cleaning up after the program, we found a laptop. And Judy and Twyla, MLK chair, said, "Oh, that's Doreen's laptop. Here's her phone." And I said, "I'm going to Doylestown to church tomorrow. Maybe I can bring." So she said yes, and I got to see that house on that corner with the whole yard signs, social justice yard signs. And we chatted a little, and then I came on the phone. Because Judy and Twyla said, if you want, that plaque is an Atkinson family. And I thought, well, all my relatives are Republican farmers from New Jersey. Wow. And so you told me a name of Atkinson, Doylestown, and I called a woman whose married name is Barbara Atkinson. We didn't find any relation yet, but I'll keep digging, as you advised. But we did find that her grandmother was the first Democratic council member, and there's a mayor of Doylestown.
Yeah, he was here.
So I hope, and then when I called you about speaking at Pebble, you said, well, tomorrow I can't speak on the date. I think I asked because you were getting an award the next day, and Dave and I were able to go. No, I was able to go and attend that, where it's the
Women's History Month Award.
Yeah. For all your lifetime work. And I'd love to see, I hope you'll let us know when you're going to perform again, some of those at the theater.
Where did you go?
I just want to quickly say that those people, the Atkinsons, are my husband's relatives. Nick Dunn, you know them. Circle of Life, Mary Dunn, I think went to school with you, and we're good friends. And my husband was very good, was friends with your brother Chris, and they were bus drivers. But anyway, Barbara Atkinson is the niece of Nick's mother.
The other
Yeah, Barbara Atkinson, and Nick's mother was very, she was a real advocate. Maybe, I don't know, her mother was maybe the first Democratic. She did a lot. You know her, Sarah Dunn, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, anyway, they were wonderful. I just wanted to say that. If you want any information, I have it, pictures, everything.
Well, before anything else, I think continue to look, because my dad said, oh, we don't have any other male relatives. So I always figured, okay, well, I guess I won't find any of them. But being on ancestry.com, I was looking for, finally did find that I do have a great grandfather, but that I know who was after him. But I thought, there's so many names in the world, how can I not be related to some of them, more of them, like the Atkinson? And I was on, I contacted somebody on Ancestry, and this woman said, oh, she said the year is wrong for your great-grandfather's birth. Here's it, and I got stuff way back to the late 1600s right now, and man, we're prolific. Lots of and
manned up.
They're correctly named. And but I actually connected with two sixth cousins because of the different lines, but there's so many. And I thought, oh, they may not be married, but I have relatives that are. And I thought, oh, now I want to go see them. So it's kind of fun. Yeah.
Well, I'll bring in something from a little bit different direction, and that is that there was a lot of oh my, I'm sorry, have problems in that direction. But anyways, the French were highly involved with Catholicism, and the English were Protestant way before this, and there was many people being murdered in the name, etc. Not that I just indicated that it was, there's parts of streams of different people and different coming together in that aspect. And much of that came straight over to where we are, and it is somewhat to the south of where we were, etc. And that built another aspect. When you mentioned Snowden, I went, oh wow, this, I could give you a few numbers on that. So what I'm saying is that all these things are happening, and I really feel that we're the generation that looks at all this and says, okay, you can stop fighting with other people, you can stop trying to kill some other people in that, and come as a complete portion of all what we have done with that in coming over.
More community, yeah. Thanks, Andy.
Just real quickly, I haven't done much research in my family, but my grandsons have. But just looking back like 3 generations, if you want to kind of get a kick and feel a little excitement, just think, every time a generation, another woman is brought into the family, you got a whole new lineage that splits every time somebody above them gets married. So it is.
We're all related.
Endless. We're all part of the same great thing when it comes down to it.
Thank you. We're at the end of our time, so So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. Somebody has some burning desire to say something. To finish. And a closing.
Only that it was a joy to be here. This is my first time at Pebble Hill. I was for several years a Layton St. Paul's Doylestown Episcopal Church, and I don't know, a couple years ago, something told me, you need to get back inside the walls of a church. There's just too much going on, and I find that now that I have gone back, it's just a good thing. I remember years ago, and I went to church camp, and one of the priests said, you get a whole week, you can give the Lord an hour. And I said, that's right. So I tried to go. I didn't go today, because I said if I have too religious today, I really will be up there with the angels. So I said, I'm just going to go to Pebble Hill today, and I'll go to St. Paul's next week. But thank you for having me. I enjoy being here. I love talking, and I'm going to send Susan a list of the books, and you can have a good pick. There's still the summers left. You might find something you might want to read on there. Go to your library. Join the library, support the library.
Thank you all for coming, and we'll learn more about Sankofa, and we'll reach back into our past too. But I'll be interested to hear your stories of reaching back into your past too. Thank you. And that is. Okay, we do have something song, and that is someone to make us feel really good. It is Somewhere Over the Rainbow by for Barbara. So are you
Has everybody seen the cards? Anybody have a card? Has everybody done this? We only have one person.
'Cause we'll raindrops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dream that you dare to, why, oh why can't I?